Yo, welcome back everybody to another video. So in the last video we learned how to set up React Native Firebase onto our project for both iOS and Android. And in today's video we're going to be talking about how to set up dynamic linking. And we're going to be creating dynamic links on the fly using a REST request. So for example, let's say if I were to click on Cowboy Bebop right here, I created this little share icon right here that if I click on it, that it will then open up a little text that says check out this cool anime, bro. And then it creates a page link right here. So this is our dynamic link. And this page link was actually created on the fly immediately. So let's say I paste it. Imagine I'm sending this to a user. Now, let's say the user already has the app installed. What will happen is then it'll open up to that exact same anime. And let's say the app is turned off. What's going to happen is it'll turn on the app, and then it'll open up the home page and then immediately redirect to the actual selected anime page. And let's say what happens if the user doesn't have the app installed. Well, it'll be really simple. What's going to be happening is that it'll direct them to the Google Play link for our application. And let's say that they don't even have this created, like let's say they don't even have this on, let's say they're trying to open up a link in a desktop. What will happen in that case? Then it'll actually open up the anime list page. So let me show you what that looks like. So I've opened up my browser, and let's say I were to paste in the link right here. What's going to happen is it'll open up the My Anime List listing for that specific anime. And I'm going to make it as easy to understand as possible. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to make React Native Firebase dynamic links work, we need to install a couple of dependencies initially. The first one we need to install is going to be, so we're going to do npm I at react-native-firebase/analytics and at react-native-firebase/app. This is if you don't already have this installed. After that, we need to do at react-native-firebase/dynamic links. I think that's dynamic links, like so. Oh wait, dynamic dash links. There we go. And then once we've done that, we need to install it for iOS as well. So we're going to do a cd iOS, and then we're just going to do pod install. So now what we have to do is we need to test if our dynamic links works. Just make sure everything is configured properly. We're going to create a manual dynamic link. So go ahead and open up your Firebase console, and then what you want to do is go ahead and click on the Engage tab, and then click on dynamic links. It'll take you to this page right here, and then click on Get Started. And from there, you can provide a domain. This is where all of your dynamic links are going to be hosted underneath. I don't have a domain, so I'm going to use a Google provided one. So I'll just type in here, let's call it any anime list URL prefix dot page link. It's not, can't be capitals. There we go. It's not the best name, but it should be more than enough. And then click continue. And then after that, it'll automatically verify and get approved to use. Click on finish. And then now we have our URL prefix made. Now we can create our manual dynamic links. Alright, so now we can create a dynamic link manually. And the way to do this, you're going to click on this blue button that says new dynamic link. And then it's going to give you a URL prefix. This is what you're going to be sharing to different users. That will check if the app is installed on a device. If it is, to open it up and to do whatever you want from there. But if it isn't installed on the device, then it'll go to their respective Play Store, or if they're on desktop, then it'll open up the fallback link. So go ahead and click on next, and after that you need to provide a deep link URL. So this is going to be your fallback URL. Let's say if the app is not installed and they don't even want to even try to go to the Play Store, this is where they should redirect to. So what I'm going to be taking them to is the My Anime listing for Naruto, and I'll just type in here Naruto for the deep link name. And then after that, for Apple behavior, if you're using, we already set it up for iOS, so you can click on Apple app and then you can provide it. But since we're not going to use it for Apple, we're just going to put it as a browser. And then after that, for the Android behavior, we want to open up in the Android app. And we're going to leave everything as is. And we don't need to add any campaign tracking, social tags or anything, since that's not required. And then go ahead and click on create. So now we've created our page link. So if I were to copy this URL and I opened up my emulator Alright, so I've opened up my emulator and I pasted in the link right here. And if we were to hold it and we were to open up the link, it should open up the app, which is perfect. And if you were to open this up in a browser, it should go directly to the Naruto listing, which is exactly what we want. So now let's go ahead and using RESTful routing, sorry, not RESTful routing, using CRUD, we're going to make a push request to Firebase to create a new dynamic link every single time for each different anime right here. So if I were to go on Trigun, it'll create a link for that, and then we can redirect right to there. Alright, so go ahead and open up your VS Code, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new file, and we're going to create it underneath our selected anime file. So we're going to call it shared, we're going to call it shared anime.js, and inside of here is where we're going to handle all of the functionality to be able to share a custom dynamic link. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to call this function const shared anime is equal to, and we're going to give it two parameters. So we're going to give it fallback URL and anime ID, and we're going to give it a return, and underneath everything we'll just go ahead and do export default shared anime. I know we could always just do export here, but I like to just put it at the bottom right there. And just so we have some sort of text there, what we're going to do is we're going to just give it a simple view. And instead of that view, we'll just give it a touchable opacity that we have to import from React Native. And inside of there, we'll just type in here, let's give it a text. Inside here, let's give it share this anime. Alright, and let's go ahead and import all the stuff that we need for this to work. So at the top of the file, right here, we're going to do import React, and we'll do use state from React. And after that, we'll do import view text style sheet dimensions. We don't really need that. Touchable opacity and share from React Native, and then finally we're going to do import Axios from Axios. There we go. Alright, so the first function that we're going to create is the build link function, and I've opened up the actual documentation regarding this function to create a short link, and so we need to give it some parameters. So we need to make it a post request, send it to this URL with our API key, and I'll show you how to get that as well. We need to give it the content type of application JSON, and this is the data that we need to pass it into. We're not going to do anything with iOS, so don't worry about that. But if you will use iOS, then go ahead and add that too. So firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to create a function called const build link is equal to async, and then we'll just do let link is equal to await Axios, and we're going to give it the method of post and the URL, and we're just going to go ahead and copy this URL. Don't worry, this actual page is in the description down below, so go ahead and open that up. And the key that we're going to give it, let's use backticks instead. It's more modern. So just like that. Perfect. And then after that, we're gonna have to give it some headers. Comma headers, and that's gonna be content dash type is equal to application dash slash JSON. And then after that, we need to give it data. And this data, let's go ahead and copy this this object right here, starting from here all the way to this point down there. Perfect. And so the actual URI prefix, I'll show you how to get that as well. The link, don't worry, so the link is actually going to be equal to we have up here called fallback URL. Don't worry, I'll show you what that means in a bit. And the actual package name, whatever your package name is for your application. In our case, it would be com.anime, anime list. And I'm going to get rid of iOS info since we're not doing anything with iOS. But if you did, you'll put in your iOS bundle ID right there. And then after that, at the end of the access call, we're going to do if link.status is equal to 200. If the request goes through properly, we're going to return link.data.short link, like so. And that's pretty much all we need to do. All we have to do after this is to run the build link function on the click of a button. But before we do that, we have to take care of two things. We need to give it the key that we talked about earlier and the domain prefix. Well, where do we get this key from? It's really simple. Go ahead and open up your Firebase console. Inside of your project settings, your web API key is what you want. Don't even bother trying to copy this. It's already deleted. Like, this app doesn't exist anymore. But if you don't see your web API key here, what you want to do is click on your authentication section of your Firebase console. If you don't know where that is, it should be under build. Click on authentication. All you have to do is just go to it. You don't have to do anything else. After that, you need to go back to project settings, and then it should be available to you right there. Go ahead and copy it, and I'm gonna actually get rid of my squiggly braces. Ideally, you would put this key in a .env file so it's not pushed to the internet, but we're just gonna put it into it just like that. And the next thing we need to do is the domain URI prefix. Where do we get that? Pretty simple. We go back into our dynamic link section, and it's actually this bad boy right here. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy this and paste it inside of here like so. Get rid of all of that. Oops. There we go. And make it prettier. Perfect. So now we've set everything up for building the link. Let's now set up a method to share the link. Alright, so to do that, underneath my build link function, I'm going to create a function called const share link. Is equal to async. Inside here, we're going to give it a let share URL is equal to nothing right now. Then we'll do a quick, I think it should be a try catch block. So we'll do try catch. So console.log error if it doesn't work out. And we'll do share URL is equal to await build link. And just in case, we're just going to make sure that it's returning something. So we'll do console.log share URL. And oops, underneath this try catch block, we're going to create another try catch block that's going to basically open up a little modal that's going to allow you to share. So else console.log error. So inside of this try catch block, we're going to do if share URL is not equal to empty string. We'll do const result is equal to await share dot share. We're gonna give it a message, and this message is gonna read here, check out this cool anime, bruh. And let's do backticks instead of that. Let's be modern here. There we go. And $, curly braces, we're gonna pass in here share URL. And that's pretty much it. So now this message, this share message is gonna hold here, check out this cool anime bro, and then our custom made dynamic link. So after that, we're going to do if, well, we don't really need to do that. Let's just try it out from here. So now let's go ahead and pass share link, this function, to our touchable opacity. So we'll do on press. We'll just call share link, like so. And that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and also import the actual shared anime inside of our selected anime.js file. Now if we click this, it's actually going to break. It's not going to work. It's going to come out as undefined. Now the reason that's happening is because our fallback URL isn't set to anything. So just for testing purposes, I'll just do google.com. And so now if I were to click share this anime, it just shows that. Let's do https://www.google.com. And so now if I click it, there we go. So now we can see that we have our custom made link right there. Now if we were to click this, all it's going to do is just going to open up the app. It's not actually going to go into our selected anime of Trigun. So now let's go ahead and go to the next part where we're actually going to pass in the fallback URL. Now what the fallback URL is going to be, like I talked about earlier, it's going to be that Naruto listing my anime list page. The Jacan API actually provides a fallback URL, so we're just going to use that. In your case, if you have one, you can use that. Well, you should use that. If you don't, you can just use something like google.com or whatever is your preference, honestly. So before we pass in the fallback URL, let's go ahead and get rid of this const result. We don't actually even need that. I'm not too sure why I even added it. But go ahead and open up your selected anime.js file. And inside of here, we're going to firstly import shared anime. Oops. I'm not sure why it disappeared. I thought I already passed it in. But we need to pass it in one parameter, one prop, called fallback URL. And that's going to just be equal to fallback URL once we made it. And so now let's make it. So above my route.param selected anime object, I'm going to do const fallback URL and set fallback URL is equal to use state. Initially, let's set it to null. And then after that, we're going to do a use effect, which is going to have data passed at the end right here. And instead of here, we're just going to check if data dot, no, it's data. If data exists, we're going to do set fallback URL to be data.data.url. And the way that I know that this data.data URL is equal to a fallback URL is because inside of the hook, this request right here actually contains all of the information about that specific anime, description of the anime, the pictures of the anime recommendations based upon it, and the fallback URL. So that's what we're doing here. We're just passing it in the URL, and then we're passing it as a prop right there. And so now, if I actually, just gonna make sure that we're passing it in here as well. Where is it? Fallback URL. Oh, right there. Okay, perfect. So now, if we test it out, it should actually work. Perfect. It created a dynamic link for us. And so before we proceed on actually allowing a page link to redirect to a specific anime, I want to just add an extra precaution that makes sure that a fallback URL is present before even sharing this anime. So let's do fallback URL. We'll make a ternary operator, and if it's equal to true, we're just going to pass it in shared anime like so, and else we'll just do null. So this makes sure that, let's say, Sunabozo doesn't have a shared URL or fallback URL, then it won't actually even show this in the first place. And that's exactly what we want from a user perspective. So now, let's go ahead and go into our home.js file where we're going to take care of rendering the actual anime and handling the dynamic link as well. Alright, so the next part is a little trickier, but I'll do my best to explain it as easy as I can. So basically, with handling dynamic links, there's a couple of different states that you have to make sure you're handling. Initially, you have the state of if the app isn't even on, to open up the app and then to render the actual, then to handle the actual dynamic link, or if the app is already running, then to handle the dynamic link. So what we're going to do is we're going to handle the first case, which should be if the app isn't even on. And so to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a function underneath our render item called const handle dynamic link is equal to use callback. However, there is already an example in the React Native Firebase documentation about this, but in this specific scenario, we're going to use a use callback to handle this dynamic link if the application is completely turned off. So I'm going to do async link, and basically we're passing in the parameter of link, and let's pass that in as well. And inside here we'll give it navigation like so. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do if link.url exists and it's not equal to null, we're just going to do console.log link. And the way that we're going to call handle dynamic link is actually a little bit funky. We're going to create a use effect that is going to initially, we're going to create a variable called const subscribe, const unsubscribe, which is something that you should not do from this channel. If you've already done it, please And then after that, we're going to import dynamic links. God, I don't know why my laptop doesn't actually even allow me to import things properly anymore, but import dynamic links from at React Native dynamic links. There we go. And so now we're passing it in right there. And then after that, we'll do on link. We'll pass in the param of handle dynamic link. And then after that, we're just going to do return a function and run unsubscribe. And then we're going to pass in here handle dynamic link. Let's make it a little bit prettier. And let's see what this is yelling at us about. Dynamic links is not. Oh, oops. Dynamic. There we go. And so now, let's go ahead and update this. Well, I'm going to leave it right there as is because we're going to add it soon. So let's click on an anime and let's click on share this anime. Let's copy this and let's open up a notepad and paste it in. And remember, keep an eye on your logs. So now if we open it, it should open up the app. What the hell? Terminal. There we go. So now you see that we have this log right here, which is very important. This contains the minimum version, which is null, our URL, which is the thing that we need, and UTM parameters, which doesn't really matter. Now this URL is actually what we're going to be using to display the exact anime screen that we want. It's because of this little number 6 right here, this little ID. This is what we're going to actually pass into React.navigation to render this actual screen. So let me show you how that's going to work. Now before I continue with handling this, this is the part where this really depends on how you're going to handle this link. In our case, what we're going to do is, well, let me just show you what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is create a variable called const selected anime URL is equal to backticks https://api.gcan.mo/v4/anime $, and inside here we're going to pass in link.url and .match. This is the part where it says it really depends on how you're going to pull it out, but what we're going to be doing here is we're basically going through this entire link and we're just checking wherever there's a number, and in this case we're going to get the number 6. So we're just checking if, just give me the number, that's all we're doing here. So I'm going to do, this is regex, never understood it, never gonna understand it, never want to understand it. So basically what this little doohickey right here function does is it checks this entire URL for a number, and it actually, for some reason, it spits it out in an array block. So then we're going to have to do the 0th index of it. I don't understand why. Regex do be like that though. It do be like that. And after that, we're going to do const response is equal to await axios.get. Selected anime URL, and if response exists, then we're going to do navigation.navigate, and we're going to navigate to the selected anime screen, and we're going to pass it in the parameter, you guessed it, the number. So we're going to do selected anime obj, and we'll do response.data.data. This response.data.data actually contains all of the data for that specific anime. So it would actually contain all the data for Trigun. And so now if we save it, alright, so now let's go ahead and try this bad boy out. Now before we do that, I just realized that there's a little typo. We want to do a slash right after anime right here. And I sort of got this a little mixed up. Apparently what we're actually handling right here is if the application is still on, not completely turned off. We'll handle the completely turned off section in a bit. But now, if I were to share this anime, copy this URL. Don't know why I created it again. Let's just make it copy the URL and paste this bad boy into a notepad. And let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. It should hopefully go to Trigun. Perfect. Let me back out one more time because I got a little superstitious there. I thought it didn't. Did it work? It works. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and handle the scenario if the application is completely turned off. Alright, so to handle that scenario is going to be really simple. We're going to create another use effect. Ideally, you could put in the same use effect, but I like to just keep it separated, just so I can tell what's happening. We're going to pass in navigation inside of here, and we're going to, ideally, we should do it inside here, yes. So what we're going to do is, we're going to create a function called fetch, fetch screen, should be fine, is equal to async, async arrow function, like so. And well, it's going to be exactly the same as what's happening here. Well, pretty similar, but there's going to be a little bit of differences. So I'll do const get initial link is equal to await dynamic links dot get initial link. And this is actually coming straight from the documentation too. So if get initial link is not equal to null, and if get initial link dot URL exists, then we're gonna just go ahead and copy this little section right here and paste it inside of here. And then if everything exists and everything is working fine, outside of this if block, inside of the if block, that makes more sense. Inside of the if block, we'll do axios dot get selected anime URL dot then. I don't know why we're doing it like that. Let's not do it like that. Let's do it. Let's just copy it exactly what we have right here. I don't know why we're changing it. That's pretty much all we need right there. There we go. And then we're just gonna call the fetch screen function at the bottom right here. And show now. Oh right, link.url should be get initial link.url.match. There we go. And so now if I were to copy this URL right here and we shut off our app, what's going to happen is it's going to actually check if get initial link is not equal to null. So if it's not equal to null, it loads up the app and then it immediately goes into the actual anime. So basically what we're doing is we create this use effect that's going to run this function called fetch screen. It's in regular circumstances, let's say if we turned off our app and we turned it back on, what's going to happen is it's actually going to run this function and it's going to stop right here because we actually get initial link is equal to null. So it's not going to go any further. It's not going to make any requests to API or anything. Oops. But if it is equal to, if it's not equal to null, then it's going to go ahead and go through all this process right here. So now we've learned how to actually work with dynamic links and make HTTP requests to be able to render these links and to actually handle these links. Alright, so that concludes the tutorial. I hope that it helps you out. I know that when I was developing this, it was very, very difficult because I had absolutely no idea what to do. But I hope that this video helps you out. If it did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.